Hey, it's Adele from Let's Get Inkie, and today we have a flip through. Now at the same time that I'm uploading this longer, chattier version, I've also uploaded a version that's quicker, just to music, if that's more of your thing. So that'll be uploaded at the exact same time. So this journal I actually finished in last year, and I didn't flip it for some reason. I don't understand why. I think I was just done with it. You know when you get like that with journals, sometimes you just want to see the end of them and just put them on the shelf and be done with them. And so I thought now was a good time to flip through it. So this is the Dylusions 8x8 journal. And I enjoyed the size. It was a bit of a challenge having a square journal. I'm used to more of a rectangular shape, and so this was the first time I used a square format, and I'm definitely, if you have a look at all of my other previous flip throughs, I'm definitely a double page art journaler, and so it was a bit of a different composition. But overall I enjoyed the journal. The pages are a bit of a creamy colour. I don't have any, I can't really, oh actually there is one. This one, so they're a creamy tone, which I'm not a huge fan of. I prefer like a crisp white, and so I covered them all up. It comes with a pocket. I did nothing with this pocket. I really like this strip here. I think that would be fun to make into like a washi tape or something. But let's get flippity flappeting. So this will probably be filled with tangents because that's how we roll over here on Let's Get Inkie. But let's start at the beginning. So this was a printable that I had over on my Patreon, and I just wrote journal completed. I need to start doing that for my journals. Do you peeps do that? I would love to go back and try to work out through process videos when I had finished previous journals and write it in for them. But this was the cardboard, like the cardboard cover. And so I just stuck this over the top, and it worked out well. This, I feel like this was a process video, or I did it on a stream. This is just a photo of the kiddos, and these were some embellishments that I made over on my Inkie Quill main channel, and I loved making these embellishments with the Cricut. And I'm going to have to make some more of them because every time I see them, I wish I hadn't used them all, but I have. And these are some stickers of my own, which might be appearing somewhere towards the end of the year. And this was just a nice happy page of the kiddos to start the album. Sometimes I use photos, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I just like to play with paper and layers. But I think majority of my pages have some sort of quote, and all of my quotes that I use, 99% of them, are on my Pinterest, in case you are ever looking for some. This was a process video, and I used a lot of packaging. So this was the sticker backing for these stickers. And then this was a piece that I had cut out some gold leaves for another project, and I still had them on my desk. I'm a little notorious for leaving a whole lot of paper scraps on my desk. But the thing I like most about this page is the pop of the blue. I just really think that it tied the whole page together. It really made this washi tape look like it actually belonged, and it was such a contrast to the pale pinky softness of the rest of the page. There's that one. Most of these have process videos. Some are on my Patreon, but a lot of them are here on YouTube. This was the first page that I did, and I didn't like it. To be honest with you, I really didn't like it, and so I put this journal away for a good several months after I had done this page, because I feel like when you start a journal, my biggest tip is to not start at page 1. So I started a couple of pages in, but the other tip is to use it like a use it up journal, which I've done in the past, where you just slap some colour on some random pages. So you might stick a napkin somewhere, you might use one page as a paint palette. I'll show you actually. Over here, this is the bigger version, so this is the A4 one. And if you watch my videos all the time, you'll know this, but I often, no, that's Archie's one. Where is it? Is it this one? Yeah, so I often use my books as my paint palette. So for this page, I was using some blue, so I put a blob of blue down. I used the blue on the project I needed, and then I still had some left over because there's always paint left over, always. And instead of wasting it on a palette or a piece of plastic, I just do it in the book, and then I just smush all of the paint around. And then on another one, I must have had some leftover lilac paint, plonk that down, and then that's a background, you know, the first stage of a background done. I do that quite, oh, here we go, perfect example. So this is a paint palette right there. And so for this one, I'll probably go through and add some collagey bits and pieces here and there. And then I'll probably save this spot, which is quite pale, for a big quote or something. And even if you cover up a lot of it, you know, here's another one. It gives you the background of a page that's already done, and then you can come back and work on them later, because the hardest part of starting a page is starting a page. It's that first initial bit. So I wish I had done that with this journal, and I didn't at the start. I did towards the end. But yeah, so I did this page, and the thing I now realise I didn't like about it was the cream. It's just so cream. And I just don't like that personally for my journals. But then I had, these were some more Patreon printables that I had put into stickers, and then just a nice little fashiony photo. Oh, my battery's flashing. Alright, on to the next one. This was some serviette or napkin, whatever you may call it, and I love layering with serviettes and some tissue paper. Oh, this was a fun page. So this, look, we're going back a little while here, but if it's a process video, it will be here on YouTube. If I can remember which ones were Patreon ones, I'll try, but I feel like this was a process video. I think it might have been on Patreon though, because I used a ton of hearts, and there's another page, this one, where I used the same hearts possibly, but I decided to try something different, and I cut my page into a curve, and that was fun. I need to do that again. So it's funny when you just completely forget things until you're flicking through your journal, and they can, even journals that perhaps your style's changed, or you made it at a time when you didn't like your journal style, or you weren't happy. It's so fun to look back and get little bits and pieces from things. Like for this one, I really want to do a really pale soft page, and then like a wham of colour. I want to do that again. I should write these down so I can remember them. And then this one, I really want to cut my page into a shape again. But here I just gessoed it, and then put a whole bunch of pale, neutrally coloured scrapbooked punched hearts out. And then this magazine image. And this was nice because usually I do so much with stencils and layers of paint and things, but this was just paper, which was a nice change. And then on the back, I love the way that looks, like having a real pale neutral colour and then a stronger colour over the top. I do really like this page. I feel like she's very moody. She suits the colours, and this stencil kind of reflects the shape of the flowers that she's holding. And most of the pen that I use, most of the time, sorry, I use the pen, where is it? This one, which is the Otto, O-H-T-O, and it is, let me focus that. Will it focus because it's so tiny? There you go. Food Ball 1.5. It is not permanent, so if you add watercolor or splatters to it, it will move, as you will see in a few pages time. But it is just gorgeous to write with if you're done with your page and you're not doing anything else on top. I highly recommend it. This was a process video, and after I did this page, I abandoned the journal for a long time, and then I started using it for, what's it called? Inktober. So Inktober is a set of prompts that come out on Instagram, 30 days of prompts in the month of October. And it started off as, it's meant to be for ink drawings of these things. And I decided to flip that into quotes for each of the topics that they had for each of the days. Do you know what I mean? So if one day it might have been water, like say this day might have been water, and instead of drawing water I found a quote about water, and I liked it for 4 days and then I abandoned it again, which seems to be my ammo with journals. But I did actually rip out a few pages that had quotes that I had written on there that just didn't work. But for this one I decided to keep it in, and we did a very, very moody blue page, this one. So just layers of paint, lots of stenciling here, and then an extra quote. We got double quotey on this one. But yes, I'm positive I've seen a thumbnail in the past for this one. I've done so many videos that I forget which ones are videos and which ones were YouTube, which ones were Patreon, and which ones were on streams, or which ones I just did like out of time, not filming. This is one of my faves from this whole journal, and it kind of surprises me because orange is not my usual colour. Definitely you peeps know this, I'm a pink and blue kind of gal, and the citrusy shades, the yellows, the oranges and the greens, they frighten me a lot. But I think a lot of it has to do with just the massive contrast of the black and white image, and then it creeps across with this stamp that I used. So the black trickles through, and then the orange comes through, and then there's a big bolt of orange. So if you're looking for a challenge for a journal page, choose 2 juxtaposing colours, contrasting colours if you will, and then try and merge them in the middle with either a stamp or maybe a different focal image or some stenciling, and yeah, see how that goes. You know what I mean. I also really like the little bit of hot pink as well. So this is definitely one of my faves from this one. Paris Jackson did she must have done an editorial in some magazine that I was cutting up, and so there's a lot of her in this journal, and another one that I was using, but her images were just so, like, I don't know, they were just like powerful, so I cut them out. So there is that one. And then this one, this is when we had a little pen problem. I feel like this might have been a Patreon video because these are printables, possibly. And this was just after Violet was brought home, and you can see I completely smudged my writing in the middle there, and it drives me nuts. I might go back and fix it after this video actually, and just completely, I think the only way to fix it is to paint over this section or to stick something over this section. But you can see I tried to fix it and it just still looks smudgy, and it annoys me a lot. But yeah, this is just a nice little baby page. I thought the background looked a bit like a patchwork blanket, and it worked well with Violet's little blanket. This was a fun one. So this was a page that I had used as a wipe-off page for my brayer when I was doing some gel printing, and so you can see the brayering in the background. You can kind of see the roller marks. And then I just went nuts with the stencil, and this is a fun one. I seem to like the pink and orange combo a little bit here. This is a little scrap of deli paper that I had gel printed, and so I just stuck that on there. And then I've got some pink stenciling with the dark stars and then some white stenciling of stars, and I've outlined them. There's a bit of a close look, and we've got lots of dots and dashes and all sorts of mark making in the background. Stars are just a winner all round. I think you can, it's very hard to stuff up stars. Possible, I've done it, but it's hard. Oh, I love this page. Again, a bit of a different colour for me. This must have been, no, there's still a lot of pink in here. I was going to say this must have been a journal where I was feeling quite brave with my colour combinations, but no, it wasn't. So I think what made this page jump off was this, which was a printable on Patreon. And if you're interested in that, I do 8 videos a month over there, and there's monthly printables. I've been over there. Next month it's going to be 6 years and I've been on Patreon, which is just crazy. And by now there's almost like 500 videos, and there's, what's 6 times 12? 72. Wow, there's 72 months worth of printables. Some months have up to 30 pages, so there's quite a few things to print, and you get access to all of that, so all of the back catalogue, if you're interested. But this was one of the printables that I used, and it definitely was the jumping off point for me to use the yellow. And so I noticed in this journal I stuck a lot of journal images in the centre, which I think was my way of coping with the longness of the page, because when you do a rectangle-y journal, you're kind of only dealing with that much. It's not as wide, and so that extra width just was an extra challenge. And so I found by separating it into 3 panels, similar to this one back here, it's the same, like 3 panels. Actually, that might be a pattern that we continue to see throughout here. It just made it a bit more manageable. And here I just did a quote, and I did it really messy, writing on top of each other, and I really like that. I need to do that again, because usually I make it so that you can read it if you want to. Not that anyone looks at my journals, but except for you peeps. But yeah, I was just feeling messy, and I think it goes with the brambly branches in the background. Bramble is a word that we don't use enough. I think we should use it more. There's so many words, we've chatted about this before, there's so many words that we don't use enough in everyday sense. So if you have a favourite word that you love, put it in the comments below, and I challenge everyone to pick one of them from someone else and use it. Just sporadically use it. I love the word glorious. I love the word splendid. Oh, I love those words. I love the word myriad. I love the word juxtapose. But yeah, pick a word that's not your usual vernacular. Vernacular? Vernacular. Can't even talk. And pop it in the comments, and let's challenge ourselves to do some wordiness. This is another fave. I really like this foam stamp. This was a stamp by Art Foamies. I need to try and find it because I really like it. But the thing I like most about this is the journaling in this big pink strip that goes around around the body there. And then I just randomly did these pink lines, and I think that the page needed it. But yeah, you can see there, it's just, love it. Something a little bit different. And then I repeated, I kind of hung this stencil off the edge of this side and then continued it over here, so it kind of looks like the, you know, the page could almost be looping around. Oh, I like this one. So this was a Patreon process, I think, and I did rainbows, which was one of my, I did a series called Challenge Yourself, and I did things that I found challenging, and rainbows were one of them, and I feel like this was part of that process. But I like the stenciling trickling down here. Usually I have the stenciling as more of a background feature, but here it's really at the foreground, and it's almost like the focal image is not the focal image, it's the stars that are the focal image. So that was fun. So I just used acrylic paint. Most of my dilutions paints have now dried up, and I'm on the hunt for some new. Oh, I've got my gouache. I love to say the word gouache. I should pull those out. Do you want to see a gouache video? I'm not by far an expert. I'm a very novice beginner, but we can novice beginner together. Yeah, I should get those out. This, I also feel might have been a process video, and there's just washi tape, bit of washi tape fun, bit of love for some washi tapes in my collection, a lot of which are still some of my favorites, and a lot of which I don't know where they are. These two, I have no idea where they are. I use them a lot, but I just stuck them all down, and I did use matte gel medium to stick them down as well, because you never quite know with washi tape. It's not, don't trust washi tape. Believe me, I've tried to trust it. It's not to be trusted. It needs extra sticking. And then I did a quote, and these are thickers, which I have stuck down and then done 50,000 coats of gesso on, and then painted, I think, probably with the same yellow Posca paint pen, and outlined. Oh, I just realised I have to go pick up my son soon from school, so I might not finish this whole process video, this whole flip through in one thing, but you won't notice. It might be several hours later or even several days later, but I need to go pick him up from school soon. School pickups, can we just talk about school pickups? Oh, are there any other new kindergarten mums or dads or parents out there, or carers, that just struggle with how early school pickups are? I'm so used to the kids being at daycare, where we used to pick them up at 5:30 after Aaron and I had finished work and things for the day. But to get to school, I need to leave at 2:30. That's a big difference, times by 5 per week. Aaron knew who. This one was tissue paper madness. So we have the black and white is a tissue paper that I have loved and hoarded, and it is now all gone. But I'm glad to see it in my journal. So that's the thing, you gotta stick your stuff in your journals, because it's just as nice flicking through it. It's actually nicer flicking through it in finished projects than it is having it gathering dust in a box or in your craft stash somewhere. But these were serviettes that I had used, and then I popped this little quotey quote down. So there we go. And a bit of blue. Pop of blue for something different. I just felt like it was a bit of a muddled page. I don't know, it just it was very like brr, and the quote was very like, you know, moving on and getting out of the darkness, and I just felt like the maroon and the dark green of the flowers was very, it was a downer of a page, and so I feel like the blue just pepped it up a little bit. Oh, now this girl, I really don't like her. Let's do this page quickly. I tried and I couldn't. I just can't do faces. I'm very bad at faces, so I'm not a fan of this. Let's move on to the next page. Here's the quote. It's okay if you just see an eye. There we go. I like that. But yeah, no, there's something wrong with her lips. I can't do lips. I can do eyes, but I can't do lips. Next page. This was, again, use it up background, so I have braided some things in the background, and again the pink and the orange, bit of a match there, with a pop of intense blue. Now at the time I did slightly regret doing the writing in blue and not black, because black is always it's my comfort, it's my go-to whenever I'm writing a quote, but for this page I felt like being a bit wild. I don't know, she's giving me like wild, glamorous vibe, and so I thought, oh, let's splash in a different colour. And at first I really didn't like it, but now I love it. And I think this washi tape helped tie it in. So I always love to have 3 spots of a colour. So you got the blue of the text, the blue of the washi, and then there's little blue spots that I've done some mark making in the background that you might not be able to see from back there. But I feel like if you introduce a new colour, you kind of need it in three spots to make it all cohesive together. All right, let's do 2 more pages and then I will go pick up the son from the school. This might have been on a stream or just for fun. I don't know. I don't feel like this was a process video, but this was just, I had 2 white gessoed pages and I had a big strip of deli paper. I don't have any near me right now, but I love to do like A3 size deli paper and rip them up and use them for different things. I have a lot of processes on gel printing on Patreon, but I had this leftover strip, I feel like, and I stuck it down, did a half doodly border with a word, which I thought was quite fun, and then a quote down the bottom. This page came together so very quickly, but it was just a nice, I don't know, refresher. Like, it's a bit of a simple page, but with all of the, you know, busy hecticness of the journal, it's a nice cleanser for the pages to come after that. This was a process, and again, love a nice black and white image. I had put some blue in the background. I'm telling you, the use it up way of doing journals is the way to go, especially if you're new to journaling or if it's something that it's not your comfort zone. Having some paint already on the background, even if you completely cover it up and choose to go a different color scheme altogether, it's great. So I've got a nice little long quote on this one. I just had the biggest coughing fit. Oh dear. I am on the tail end of some lovely school germs that someone brought home from their school and has passed around to the whole family, and I was the last one to get it. I thought I was in the safe zone and not going to get it, but it got me real good. So I am going to pause here, and you guys won't notice anything, but I'm going to go pick up my boy, and then I might film this after bedtime because otherwise he will be talking throughout the whole thing. Oh, I could get him to come and help. Should I get him to come and help? Well, there's still a lot of pages. If there was only a couple, I'd get him to help, but there's still a lot. But the lighting might be slightly different, so I will see you in a moment. Alrighty, we are now, as you can tell by my nails, not on the same day. I think it's about a week later than when I started filming the other one. I did not film with Arch at home because that's next to impossible. But let's continue on. We're probably just over halfway through. So let's have I think we did this page. I'm pretty sure we did this one. Let's go on to the next. Now this was a page that I didn't gesso. So you can see the paper in this journal does have that really creamy colour, which some people love, some people don't love. I'm in the don't love. I prefer my white crisp pages, which is why this journal here, this is my current journal. It's the denim journal, and I have a real, you peeps know if you watch my channel a lot, I have a real love-hate relationship with it. But the thing that it does, the positive that it does have for it, let me find a page that hasn't been worked on, is the paper is very crisp and white compared to this. I just feel like it makes the colours look better and the images pop a bit more. But this one was a very quick page that I had blotted some watercolour paint in the background, and I had a stencil that I just redid, and I just did a really quick quote and some doodly bits. So this one was kind of I guess you could say it was a bit of an accidental page, and sometimes they work out really nicely. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. All right. Oh, I love this one. So this was part of, I think, that triple Patreon video with, where is it? This one where I used the hearts, and there was another, was there another? feel like there was another page, it might have been in a different journal, that I also used these hearts for. And so I stuck a bunch of them in the background. And then I think I had previously, it looks like I have some maroon and some blue paint underneath all of this. I must have just used it as a use it up page and just brushed off my paintbrushes and didn't like that. So I covered it up with the hearts and then painted this pinky ombre over the top. And I do like that you can see the blue come through. I think it gives the page a bit of depth. Otherwise it would have been very flat with pink. So if you're ever having a bad day or a creative funk, just put some paint on some random pages and then layer it a couple of weeks later when you're feeling like your creative mojo is a bit higher, because even just those base layers can really help a page come together in the end. So this was a fun one. I think I'll try this again because it's a nice bit of texture in the album without making it too thick. I've really tried to stay away from the texture paste in this journal, just because, and I say that and I've got thickers here which are quite chunky, but the rest of it's very flat. So this gives texture without it being too much texture. So there's that one. Another heart page. Hearts are my go-to. These were some inky printables that I had stuck all over here, and I did a bit of the foam stamps that are right next to me actually. Where's that one though? I don't know, but I used these art foamies. Oh, this one's still wet. It's wet from the live stream. I used the leaf one, which is a beautiful shape. It's a big one, so you kind of have to either have a big journal spread or a large space that you can put it without it intercepting the other things. But again, lots of doodly bits because I love a good doodly bit. And then these were, yeah, a whole page of little printable circles that I had made. So this was a background that I scanned in and then drew over the top of it. So you can see a bit there. It's a texture pasted background for that one. And then I quite like too the contrast of, like, this page is so soft and delicate, I would say. This is a very delicate page. And then whoa, it's blue, it's very blue in your face. And then whoa, we have even more. This, I think, oh, I don't know if it was a process video, but I used a piece, this is a piece of deli paper, and I just stuck, I think it finishes, it's kind of ripped, so it finishes there, and then over the top I stuck this image, and then this was a print, an art print that I made, I think it was my very first month of Patreon. So that would have been July 2017. That's a long, I told you, this journal has been going for ages. Yeah, July 2017. And I had printed it on sticker paper and I stuck those around the outside. And this page is chaos. It's probably my least favorite in the whole journal, just because I just feel like there's a focal point, but there's a lot, and I don't know, it's just a quite different page that I'm used to. But I do really like how the shape of this gel print thing, splodge, squircle, I guess. Is it a squircle? What's a curved square called? It has a name. I think it's a squircle. I don't know. It's called something. But that is the same shape and size of the image. So I do like how they mirror each other. But yeah, there's a lot going on this one. This one is, I feel like, quite a... And it gives me a futuristic vibe. And I think it's because of this fluorescent yellow and green that I've got in here. And then all of the stripes, I don't know, I just feel like there's something techno future about it. But this I love, and I think one of my favorite parts of this whole page is the fact that this old stamp. I really need to use this stamp. I think I'm going to leave it on my desk until I am forced to use it again. But I like how on this side it's tucked under this image, so I did it before sticking this one on, and then on this page it's obviously on, like kind of on the top, and I just feel like it having that little tucked in bit behind their shoulder just makes it all go together. And then I did this stripe thing. It's something I don't usually do, but I quite like it. So yeah, there's something different about this page. It's not, you know, it's not my usual colour scheme at all, but I quite like it. And I'm a sucker for a black and white image. I just feel like they really give you the freedom to do whatever on earth you want with the page. You can go in whatever colour direction you want to. So this would probably be one of my favourite pages, which is unexpected because there's a lot more like this one that are much more my general style. But yeah, something about that I like. This was a process video at some point. I don't know if it was YouTube or Patreon, but I had put some blue paint in the center and then brushed some pink. You can see I'd watered it down quite a bit to get those brush strokes in. There's some stenciling, and then I had cut out some hearts for must have been a layout. Oh, maybe it was a different, oh no, it was this one. I had cut out these hearts, which you'll see in a moment, and I had the leftover paper. I don't work chronologically in this journal. I just opened whatever page I felt like, which is why that one was done first. But I had the leftovers still on my desk, and so I thought I'd stick them down. Usually I would have just thrown them out, but I really like the kind of the innard of the heart. And then I had a couple of bits that were left over that still had large areas on them, and so I just cut out some extra hearts here and there. And this is fun. This is bright, it's colourful, it's very me, and yeah, it's just a very Adele-y type page. I do think so. It's got hearts, it's got diddly borders, and it's got pink and blue. You can't really, oh, and little sprinkly bits. You can't really get more inky than that combination. This was a printables process video because I can see printables in it. And these were just some photos that I had of Arch from daycare. I'd already scrapped, I think I was tossing out whether I wanted to scrapbook the 4x6 version of these or the 3x4s, and so I had printed both. And I knew whatever one I didn't use in my scrapbook layout, I would just put in a journal. And so for this one, it's just one blue all over the back. Actually, there's a couple of blues. There's a cool blue and there's a warm blue in there as well. So a couple of different blue paints with some stenciling. And then I had layered this printable that I made that was all different thickers. So that's the fun of printables, is that you can get a lot of texture on your pages without actually having the texture there. So that's completely, you know, flat. But it looks very textured. He looks so little in these photos. And then I felt the pages were quite disconnected, so I did some washi tape across the spine to connect them together. Oh, I love this page. This is one of my favorites, and it's just because it's such a happy, crazy, joyful, colourful page. And I love this background. Usually, you peeps know I sway away from multicoloured things. I just find them a bit too busy for my eyeballs. I do prefer, you know, a bit more of a monochromatic, not that one, these ones. So I love to do pages that are, you know, fall more into one or two colours. This is all the colours. This is an explosion of colours, and it was really fun to make. So this is one that I definitely want to try and find. Actually, that could be a series. How do you peeps feel about a series where I take inspiration from older art journal pages to make new art journal pages? So not copy them, like not like a scrap lift, how you do in scrapbooking, but more so just take concepts of the page and use them in a new page. So maybe pick like 3 concepts in the page and use those concepts to create a new page. What do you peeps think about this? Like, for example, this one, I could take the concept of stars, I could take the concept of either multicolored or this technique of just putting little blotches of color, and maybe I could use a word out of this quote as my 3, you know, jumping off things. Or lines. Maybe I could use lines. What do you think? Ooh, I quite like that. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. But this one was a process video, and I did some white stenciling over the top. If you can hear the tap in the background, it's whining. It's Aaron doing some washing up. I might see if he could turn that tap off for a short mow. But yeah, this is definitely one of the faves of the journal. Alrighty, on to the next. Now this one had a lot, it had a lot of a colour that I didn't like. It was kind of a dirty pink. I think that's the best way to describe it. So you can see it here. It's like a must stick that has been left on the floor of the car for a few weeks. I wasn't a fan of the colour. It looked really murky and dirty is the best way to describe it. So I covered up a lot of it with this image, and I also tried to do a bit of stenciling to mute it a bit and brighten it up with fluorescent pink. But I really like this little section of the page just here. I think these hearts together, so like an orange and pink, a white, a bright pink, and then a reddy one. I think that combo is quite cute. But this was just another little hearty stencil fun page. There's a lot of hearts in this journal. a lot of hearts. I was in my heart phase. So there's that one. And then, oh, this is definitely a process video. So this has some of those hearts stuck down in the background. I don't know if you can see them. There you go. You can see there's one, and there's a few more hidden in the background, and it's a really subtle way of not making the pages flat. But I love this way of journaling, and this was way out of character for me, but I got inspiration for this one from, where is it? That one that I did the journaling around. No, where is it? Maybe it's still coming. No, I'm sure. Anyway, the one that had the hot pink journaling around the edge. Maybe that, no, this one. So I got the inspiration from here where I had that pink Posca paint line. That's a tongue twister. And then I did this kind of like, I would call it like a basic white font. And so I did the same thing here, but I made, when the lines went bigger, I made my font bigger and I weaved it behind her. I think this would have also looked fantastic if some of them were in front and some of them were behind. So she was like encapsulated by the journaling. So this is definitely one if you like the idea of that art lifting. Maybe we can call it an art lift instead of a scrap lift. It can be an art lift. If you like the sound of that series where I take parts of a journal page from the past and turn it into something new, this is one that I definitely want to do with that lacy journaling, I guess we could call it. So this is one of my faves. This was just a fun little pretty page. Again, I used some of that gel print paper. So if you want to see more of jelly plate printing, I do a heap on Patreon where I make different papers and often use them as part of printables. And then I think it had pink all the way across, and I just did this thick section. And then this does have texture paste, which is not my usual thing, but it's very thin. It's not I used it on a stencil that was quite thin, so didn't add too much chunk to the album. But yeah, gel plate printing is very fun. I think I'm almost out of my stash of papers. I usually do about 12 papers at a time or so, and keep them on hand, and then when I'm out, then I'll have another binge of gel printing again. So there's that one. This was a process video, and it was a bit different because I used the black, and I know when I started doing the black, a lot of people were like, ah, what are you doing? But I think it works with the black and white image, and again, this has some of those hearts in the background. Maybe I just went through and stuck a heap of hearts down, or I had them on my desk for a matter of weeks and I filmed a few videos in a row. But I quite like, it's different. It's different, this one, and I did these lines again. Not sure about the lines, but I just felt like the 2 pages were very disconnected, and so I thought I'd try something. And you know, when you try things, sometimes they're not your favourite thing, and that's okay. That's all right. Somehow she's got some blue on her too. That must have been from another page because that wasn't there when I first did it. It's from this page. Now, this page goes against all of my chunky guidelines, and I think it was because this was the final page that I did, and I was just like, stuff it, let's do the chunk. This was just a cute photo of the kiddos that I had spare, so I layered it on some, I think this was some paper from some sort of stationery set. It's all in different languages, and then in the background I have stuck on some heart thickers. Now I'll see if I can show you the thickness. So they are, you know, they're chipboard, they're sizably thick, and so I stuck all of those down, and then I would have gessoed white over the top of the whole thing, and then added, it looks like acrylic inks or watercolors, one or the other. I can't quite, I think they're acrylic inks actually, I think. And then added the orange as a bit of a contrast to all of the blue, because there's quite a few browny, mustardy, orangey tones in the photo. And that's the final page. Now, it is slightly frustrating me that this doesn't have anything on it. Will I go back? Nope. This album is done. But what I might do is, if I had, not this page, but if I did do some deli paper in the future, I might stick some there. Ooh, or, hang on a mo. Oh dear. Okay. We're having craft lunches. These are some of last month's printables, and this was one of the printables. Now I printed it on photo paper, this one. Do I have a full one of that? I've already used, these are my extras. So what I could do, in theory, is print this onto photo paper. This is on sticker paper at the moment, so it's quite muted. But if I printed it onto the matte photo paper that I use, I could just stick like a whole piece of paper there, and then put something like that in the middle, perhaps. I might do that. That would be the amount of effort that I'll go to. I'm not doing an art journal page because it's the cardstocky one, and it doesn't really work properly. But I hope you've enjoyed this flip through. It's been long. We've been on chats. I can't believe I didn't flip through this video earlier, this journal earlier, because it's been sitting around here for quite a while. I'm about to flip through my Jamie journal, which is somewhere. I can't find it right now, but it's somewhere behind me, I think. So that'll be up for Patreon soon. But this was just it was a fun journal to work in. Will I go back to this square size? No, I didn't quite like it. That page is so thick because I've cut 2 other pages and stuck the spines here, so it's like extra chunky. I won't go back to a square size journal. I've tried it, I've tested it. It's not my thing, and that's okay. But this is another one for the shelf, and thanks for watching. Don't forget to give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and I'll see you for another video tomorrow. Bye!